Are you ready? Stand by.
Welcome to the Three Gun Show with your host, Wade Jones, creative consultant and formerly Yep Man, now director of video, here with my friend, Dave Hartman.
How you doing, Wade?
I'm doing well. We had a lot of listener questions.
We do.
And
where do these listener questions come from?
Where do these come from?
So this was a survey that I did of the audience, and basically just kind of threw it out there for the email subscribers and people following us on Facebook and Instagram, and just asked them a few questions about what they want to hear from the show and where they'd like it to go. And so I've used kind of those questions as sort of a roadmap of where I'm going to be taking the show in the next 100 episodes, because we just had our 100th episode. And while I was at it, I threw in a bonus question of, if you can ask me anything about Three Gun, what would it be? And I got so many responses, and I'm sorry I'm taking over for you here, but
no, you're fine. So
many responses that you and I decided that we should actually do like a Q&A and do it live, and then, or not live, but do it face to face, and then do like a recorded episode that we put out for the show for the audience to listen to, because some of these questions were really good.
Yeah, and that's where I came in. I had the pleasure of cherry picking the questions. So if we don't,
because let's be honest, not all of them were good, right?
Well, there's some questionable people in the sport. Let's just get that right out there. And a lot of them are very similar, so I've kind of grouped them together. And I'm going to give you something that's going to be kind of a medley of sorts. But,
okay.
So if people hear this and don't hear their question, or it raises questions for them, are you going to set up something where people can submit more questions? Should they email you? How should somebody do that?
That's a good question. We've always had sort of like an open line. They can always email me at dave@threegunshow.com. And I found that's great. It helps me interact like on one-on-one. But if you want to do like a one-to-many, I think we should encourage people to go to threegunshow.com, where this episode will be, and you'll hear it in either the intro or the outro. I'll say the specific episode, but you can just look for Q&A or something like that when you go to the search bar, and find this episode and then comment on the blog post.
So leave your questions in the comments.
Yeah, leave your questions in the comments, and that way the whole community can see them. All the people that listen to the Three Gun Show, thousands of people every week, can join into the conversation, which would be kind of fun.
So can people in your comment section, can they vote up? Can they like a comment?
I don't know.
We should figure that out, because that would be a good way to see. If somebody asks your question, you already see it there, then you can like it, so we don't have to dig through 700 questions.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
We'll also look at that.
Well, look at that.
It's pretty sad
that
neither of us know that off the top of our heads.
Well, I'm always in on the admin side, so I never see any upvotes or anything. But yeah, so if you can upvote it. If not, just say, hey, this was my question too, or say, yeah, I'd like to hear this on a future episode.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. That shouldn't be too hard to figure out.
By the time you've heard this, we've figured it out.
It's already figured out right now, actually.
Or we forgot about it.
We're just going to edit this whole part out, so don't ignore this part.
Or not.
Do you want to get right into the questions here?
Let's
get right into the questions.
So should we set the stage of, like, we've got sort of a relaxing evening here. It's dark early in Colorado.
Yeah, it's almost Thanksgiving. We're in the living room of my house. Dave's got the trailer parked on the side. The dog's running around here somewhere. We're having a little bourbon, a little Van Winkle Family Reserve.
Yeah.
Tink. That's good juice.
It is. So we've got the conversation juices flowing here.
And yeah, it's dark out. It's 7:30. It's been dark for 3 hours now.
Nice and depressing outside.
Yeah, feels like midnight. and we're gonna roll on this.
Let's do it.
So this is probably the one of this one came up quite a bit. What are the little things that save time in a match? And I'm going to add a couple other questions that kind of go in there. Mainly, where does time get lost?
Where does time
so a
get
two-part
lost?
question. What makes up time, and where do people lose time?
Oh, okay. What makes up time? Man, that's a tough one.
I started out tough for a
Yeah,
reason.
holy cow. So, I'll answer this like kind of in a different manner. Like I always think of everything you're doing is you're losing time,
Okay.
which may be a negative way to view the sport, but I feel like everything you do is spent time. And so where
The
you
clock's running, right?
clock is running, always running. So where you can spend the least amount of time is where you make the most gains, right? So the little things you can do, and if we're talking little things, not big things, the little things you can do.
That was actually the question, was little things.
Little things would be you can run faster. I see a lot of people, and I was guilty of this myself when I started. They will jog, between targets or arrays, and then they'll kind of like maybe hunt for them a little bit, move their head side to side, like, oh, is this where I'm supposed to be? And they'll overrun spots. So moving quick, moving with purpose, not overrunning spots, is a huge little way to save time.
So moving quick, but not moving so quick that you're overrunning.
Correct.
Right.
So it's
So the balance there.
correct. And so like in a big outlaw match where it's like a big what am I trying to say, open terrain type thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to run 40 yards, you don't jog 40 yards. Like you're maybe, oh, I forgot my keys back at the house. I'm gonna go get them.
Right.
It's like a Puma's chasing me type of running. So it's running with purpose, running as fast as you can, and then right before you come into that spot or that position or that post that you're gonna be making, it's breaking it down into slower paces and coming in already set up. So that brings me to another little point of time that people waste, and it's having the gun down when they get into position. So you'll see almost everyone that's new does this. And I blame Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon for this, and possibly Danny Glover in Predator 2, was it?
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so
I blame those two movies for a lot of problems in the gun community.
yeah, exactly. So it's Hollow Points, for example, but it's coming into positions with your gun down, and whether that's like a Mel Gibson Lethal Weapon type of thing where you're running with it between your legs, like you're keeping it down out of sight,
Right.
or if it's just waist high, you're running with it and it's not ready to go. It should be up in your line of sight, in between you and the target when you get into that last position and you're prepping the trigger, ready to break that last shot. First shot.
So when you're running, so let's say with a pistol in this scenario, you've got to get from whatever, say it's a short distance, 10 yards. You're shooting. Do you pull the pistol back towards your chest and run? I mean, obviously you don't want to run with your arms extended out in front of you like a crazy man.
Right. That's a good question. So it depends on the distance. And I asked this exact same question to Lance Dingler this summer in Omaha. I went to the range with Jason Hintz, and Lance just happened to be there, and he's like, hey, guys, why don't you come up here and shoot with me? And we're like, okay.
All right.
Yeah, all right. So we set about to doing the drills that Lance had set up, and one of them was just a quick movement drill, and it was like a 4-stepper from box to box, and we even drew the boxes on the ground with our feet. But after a few reps, Lance was pointing out that I was dropping the gun way too much and bringing it up way too late.
So 4 steps, you could keep it in your workspace.
That, yeah,
You love that, don't you?
because it's so late.
I know.
Well, so
I did that on purpose.
And so I asked Lance that exact same thing. I was like, so what do you do? Do you break the grip and run with the pistol? Obviously keeping in mind for the new shooters out there, you're keeping it pointed downrange in front of you, or, downrange as you're moving laterally side to side, you're not actually running with it like, you're in
Terminator.
Yes, a Terminator. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. It's a lot of movie references in this one,
Yeah,
apparently.
it's going to be like that.
So, so I asked Lance that, and he said the exact same thing. It depends on the distance. If it's a long distance, you're going to want to break your grip and then come back with that grip to come right before you get in the box. If it's a short distance, you're going to slightly break the grip, but keep both hands up in your face with the gun at eye height, ready to break that, push out and break that shot. And maybe you're just pulling back just like a half an arm's length. So you're not pulling it all the way back to your chest.
If you were seeing this on video, I'm looking at Dave while he's demonstrating this. He's probably dropping his elbows about 5 or 6 inches.
Right. Dropping the elbows about 5 or 6 inches. I guess it probably brings it back like a quarter of an arm length, right? So if this is my arm length, this is my chest, this is half, I probably brought it back a quarter. And obviously you keep your strong hand on the gun. Your left hand can break just a little bit, but you want to keep that indexed on the outside of the trigger guard. Move those few paces and get back in there. Now, if you're running a long distance, that is what the end of that run looks like. Is as you're coming into the box, you're slowing down, you're crouching your butt and your legs into the position as you're coming in that box. You're getting that good grip, and you're pushing out, ready to break that shot.
So as you're planting your feet, you should be driving your arms out, basically.
No. I think it happens before that. So
okay.
Yeah, I think it happens probably 2 or 3 strides before that.
Okay.
You're crouched down. You're moving, so the sights don't move. You're absorbing all that with your thighs, your butt, the rest of your legs, and you're moving into that position, kind of like a duck walk thing, but not quite as slow. And you're taking up the shock with your legs bent like that, and you're coming into the box, and then you're staying there and shooting. You don't pop up and come in straight and shoot, because that's one more additional movement that you don't need to do.
Gotcha.
So you're staying in that crouch position and shooting. Let's see. So those are I would say the little things. Since we only talked about pistol there, I'll also say that one major thing I see from former military guys and even police officers, they will drop the front of their rifle to the ground, move, and then bring it back up. And I've even seen guys do it between targets that are right next to each other. So they'll engage a target, drop the rifle down to the deck, turn 3 to 7 degrees, bring that rifle back up and shoot again. And
because probably their familiarity with being a lot of people in close proximity,
exactly.
People, civilians, whatever.
Yeah, and moving around walls and things like that. When you're moving through a hallway, obviously you don't want to have to worry about that barrel smacking a wall, so you bring it down.
Or somebody grabbing it.
Or somebody grabbing it, yeah, for sure. But we're playing a game, so we don't have to worry about that type of stuff. And if you're like active duty or you're a current police officer, maybe you want to keep that as a sort of a maybe not even, I almost want to call it a training scar, but maybe not a training scar. You want to keep that as something you do to support your work. Rather than bring it over to the game. But if you can switch back and forth easily in your head, you're going to you're going to lose a lot less time if you don't put that rifle down and bring it back up every time. Okay. So those are little things.
Okay, that's good. So let me ask you this one.
Well, there was a part 2 to that one, right?
Well, it was basically where do you save time and where does time get lost?
Oh, okay.
So it kind of sounds like that was one and the same, unless you have something to add for that. Was basically where time gets lost, I guess. So if you have something to make up time aside from moving faster and shoot better,
well, yeah, I would say shoot better.
Make up a lot of time by hitting stuff.
Yeah, what I was going to say, time gets lost a lot on long range rifle. People will, and I find myself doing this from time to time too, until I talk myself out of it. And unfortunately, I have to talk myself out of it on a stage a lot of times. But taking a less than ideal position, like maybe on a barricade, maybe on a slanted wall, maybe shooting under something for a long-range target.
So thinking you're going to make up time by getting into a hasty position.
A hasty position and then just throwing a ton of rounds at it, where if you spent that extra time to get a good position and you shot one round, it would be much, much less time.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Makes perfect sense. How about this one? Here's a strange one. I wish I had names so I could call people
I know.
out on these. What do you eat the night before a match?
That really depends.
Do you do, people probably don't know, Dave and I did a lot of obstacle racing together over the years, and there's a lot of playing around with diets and stuff and that, carb loading and whatnot. Do you carb load, Dave?
No, I don't. It really depends. It depends on where I'm at and who I'm with, right? If I find myself, I'm a big, I like to be social and have fun happenings. And so if everyone's having like bratwurst and beers, like let's barbecue, I'm totally down.
The Friday night feast.
Yeah, exactly. That sort of thing. But if I'm, by myself, I'll, stick to something normal like chicken or, maybe even turkey sandwiches or something. I'm a big fan of making food and then using it the next day for lunch. So if I'm, packing for a match, then I'll just have the same thing that I'm having the night before. So sometimes that's making, extra chicken sandwich or turkey sandwich or something of that nature. And then doing the same thing for lunch the next day.
Takes the thinking out of it the morning of.
Yeah,
and just do
yeah.
it. Mm-hmm.
I gotta say one thing. Since we're talking nutrition, I'm pretty bad at lately is a good breakfast. I haven't been real big on breakfast in like the last year and a half, maybe 2 years or something like that. And
just personal preference.
Yeah, just personal preference. I don't know what's going on with that. But the day of a match, I'll find myself kind of like, waking up and then I don't really want to have breakfast and like don't really want to stuff anything down. I'll definitely have coffee or something of that nature. But then I find myself hungry early. Mm-hmm. So I usually bring snacks with me when I go to the range to kind of subside that. One of the cool things I found, Luke Gosnell gave me like a applesauce in a little squeezy package, like for little kids.
Oh yeah.
And it's
like a Go-Gurt.
Yeah, but it's
applesauce.
It's just applesauce, and it's the ones that he had and the ones that I get are like the organic kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's apples and like water or something. It's no added sugar or anything, but it does give you like the the little bit of a carb buzz, like you would eat a piece of fruit, and it lasts a little bit longer than eating like a candy bar or something like that. Only you don't have to process it; it's like liquid, so you get it right away.
They make little squeezy things of peanut butter too.
Yeah, and I do that. I usually do almond butter instead of peanut butter, though.
Right.
Just personal preference, but.
Yeah.
And if you get the ones with the chocolate almond butter, that's the way to go.
Like a almond Reese's Pieces in a
in a package. But it's almond butter, so it makes you think it's healthy.
It's definitely better for you. Definitely better for you. So this one's going to kind of go back to the first question because you touched on it a little bit, but what aside from dropping the gun, what common mistakes do you see new people making? I'm assuming you see a lot of new people in your travels.
Yeah, I would say that I've seen a lot less new people in 2016 than I did in 2015 and 14, 13, etc. Just because there's not a lot of like fresh new people that will go to a major match. Oh, it seems intimidating for a lot of people, which it's really not.
I was going to say, what are your thoughts on that? Like, why should or shouldn't anybody avoid a major match, saying they're in their freshman year?
Oh, freshman year. Yeah. I would say if you have been to 2 to 3 local matches, you have not disqualified for a safety infraction. You have good safe gun handling skills. I would say absolutely go and shoot a major match.
All right.
The reason is it's not nearly as intimidating as you think it will be. And and furthermore, so two things, I guess. One, like you and I know from obstacle racing, gives you a goal, something to work for.
Sure.
So you're going to train harder, you're going to be more prepared, and you're going to be more invested in that match than if you had not scheduled that match and you were just going to locals, right? Because then it would just be your weekend thing. It's like you take your workouts more seriously when you have an obstacle race to train for.
Sure.
So the furthermore part of that is I was chatting with Corinne Moser on one of the 3 Gun Show episodes, which I'll put a link to in the show notes.
Love them show notes.
Future Dave will put a link in the show notes. She had a really unique way of looking at match performance that I absolutely loved, and it came from her days of playing concerts. Like, she's a concert violinist.
Oh, okay.
So she looks at each performance as like, this is something I do. This is my latest performance, and it'll get me closer to my next performance. And she doesn't look at like, this is the pinnacle of everything I've been working for is this one match. I'm going to hang all my hopes and dreams and self-esteem on this one match. She doesn't look at it like that. She looks like, this is the next match I'm shooting, and I'm going to put equal amount of effort into this match as I did the last one, as I did the next one.
Well, that's a good way to look at it, because as you and I have talked before about everything and just life in general, it's never over. You never reach something and then it's done. You're just on to the next thing. So if you have to keep that in mind.
The only place it's done is like Disney movies, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a happy ending,
yeah,
and everybody, I guess, just slides into oblivion.
Yeah,
really.
It's like they played that 6th game, of their high school football career on Friday night. Yay! And everyone's happy, and like, the guy gets the cheerleader in the end, and
then
the movie's over. But it's like, hey, they've still got 4 more games to play in the season here. Come on.
No, they all died, Dave. That's why. They all died that night. Happily ever after.
Disney doesn't tell you.
That's why people watch that. People want an ending. There's no ending, folks. Keep after it.
There's no ending.
So speaking of that, since we're talking to majors, so if you were someone who's getting into where they want to start shooting more majors, and they had a limited amount that they could shoot, say 3 to 5 in the country.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
What would be the best? Or how about, or we can phrase it another way. What have been your favorites?
That's also a tough one.
Man. Weather aside.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say. I gotta say.
But how about maybe just facilities wise, and for people that have to travel, what's been comfortable, what's been nice, what's been unique?
Oh man. Okay, so the 2016 season was like a really big eye opener for me, because everywhere I went was more amazing than the previous place I went. Right. It started like in March when I went to St. George, Utah, the Southern Utah Practical Shooters, the tactical performance range. I think Ken has like 17 names for it, but it's all the same place. Trust me. It just matters what you put into Google Maps.
Just get there,
yeah,
and you'll be fine.
That is a really cool place, and it is. It's like a playground there.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of bays, but it's certainly set up for practical shooting. And they've got like 1 year they built a platform, and now that platform remains. And
nice.
1 year they built a tube between 2 bays so you could crawl through the tube, and now that tube's still there. That sort of thing. That's what reminds me of like a playground. There's all kinds of cool stuff around there. That's a cool place. A lot of good training there. I'm gonna actually shoot Hard as Hell there in 2 weeks, so I may have a even better opinion on that. But when we did our training there, that was a whole lot of fun.
And what time of year was that?
That was March.
March.
Yeah. The only thing that sucked about that was coming back to Colorado over Vail Pass.
Oh, yeah.
And Bill and I got stuck on the side of the road for 8 hours. And, man, I still need to get Bill and Craig Outson in the same place so we can do a worst match travel story episode, because it was horrible. It starts out with an alleged ND in the hotel. That's all I'll say. Allegedly. Where was I going? Oh, yeah, ranges.
3 to 5 favorites.
Okay, so
that's number one, or
No,
one of your favorites.
So that's where I went in March, and I'm like,
Okay.
oh, this thing's amazing. And then in May, I went to Copperhead Creek Range in Texas, which is Marble Falls, Texas, near Austin-ish. And that, is thousands of acres of off-road park, and then they have like 1,000-acre or 1,500-acre or something like that range on there on the same plot. Just really amazing. And that was a 3-gun nation match, and that was as I like to say, a soggy, muddy mess, and which was unfortunate because they had some really cool stages there and a great facility. Copperhead Creek is fantastic. So I like that. I like that range for sure. That was a lot of fun. But I know that 3-Gun Nation isn't going to be there this year. They're going somewhere else in Texas. I'm not quite sure where.
So there might not be a major match there.
So there is, because it's such a great range. There's multiple matches there.
Oh, okay.
The Extreme Bullets Texas 3-Gun Championship, sponsored by Freedom Munitions, I think is what it's called, or AKA Kurt Gruber's match. That one is going to be there, and that is one that I have not shot, but because the facility is so awesome and I know how passionate Kurt is about shooting, and Aaron Hayes helps him out as well, and Aaron Hayes is like a super passionate dude, I would say thumbs up, do that one. But maybe don't sign up for that until I do, and then you can sign up for that. I'll have to remember to sign up for that one. The other range that I really am always blown away by, and always being the 2 times I've been there, is the NRA Whittington Center. The major 3-gun match there is Rocky Mountain 3-Gun. And got to know the rules before you go there because it's a little bit different of a match.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And there's some stupid hurdles on getting in there. Maybe not stupid, but like antiquated the way maybe I don't understand, but it's there for a good reason. Like you can't sign up in practice score. You have to mail in a check, which to me is a huge hurdle to enter a match because –
for modern society, right?
Yeah, because I don't have a match, or I don't have a checkbook. So
right.
when you remove all the dudes like me that don't have checkbooks, then you get a certain demographic of people that go there, right?
Right.
But that range is absolutely incredible, and Denise and JJ put on a great match as well. So I would say that would be one. If you're doing only, we got to say 5. If you're doing like 5 matches in a year, you got to do at least one 3-Gun Nation regional. And then I guess of the ones I've been to that are happening this year as well, or in 17 as well, I would say that the Eastern Regional at the Clinton House.
Where's that at?
South Carolina.
Okay.
Clinton, South Carolina. I think it's Clinton.
Sounds right.
Yeah. That one I would say is good. It's hotter than hell out there that time of year, and like muggy hot. But the range is cool. The people are really cool there. They have all kinds of sweet sporting clays set up around that. So, and then 3-Gun Nation did a really cool thing. They did a shotgun speed shoot this year. So they had like a shotgun side match. And it was just set up to, you just go anytime, and you're like, oh, well, I can only do 2 stages now. So you go do 2 stages, and then you do another 2 stages in another hour or so, and there's like no wait and everything.
Oh, really? Just whenever you wanted to get in there and do it?
Exactly.
Nice.
And it's just really, fast shooting, which is really cool. And it's like a fallen steel type thing. So there's a par time, and then it's just as many steels you can get in that amount of time, or clays. So that one I would say is a must. They have a great facility there. Mike Sexton runs that, and he runs a really good match. And then if the reason you have to do a regional is because you want to do nationals. And nationals is always a really fun match. 3-Gun Nation nationals, and absolutely everyone there is there from the 3-Gun world.
So that's a must.
That's a must.
If you only do one, you do that one.
No, you can't even say that. Right. So
if you only do 2,
so you gotta
do that one and something else.
You gotta say, so you have to be a 3-Gun Nation member, and you have to be a regionals participant to go to nationals.
So you have to do regionals
up until like the last week if they have any spots left open.
Gotcha.
So and then they open it up to all 3-Gun Nation members, but there's so many other amazing matches. So it's just like, what kind of shooter are you? Do you like shooting long range? So I hear Fallen Brethren's like a really amazing match for long range. That's in Texas, Crescent, I think. I really want to go shoot one of Pete Renzing's matches in Las Vegas. The Surefire match. Sounds like it was just absolutely amazing. And so that match, when I was talking to Pete, he really sold that one because it sounds so amazing. Because I want to say that there's like 12 stages or something like that, which is a ton. Yeah, so you're shooting for like 3 days, but it's like 2 stages in the style of MGM Ironman. It's 2 stages at night, like the Crimson Trace night match.
Oh, okay.
It's 2 stages like USPSA Multigun Nationals, which are, faster bay type stuff. And then it's 2 stages like this and 2 stages like this, So, yeah, so you get that sort of variety pack. So if
you got to be pretty well-rounded.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And so you're talking about like all these different matches where you take like the guys are like, oh, I only shoot natural terrain. And guys are like, oh, I only shoot bay stages, and then you meld all that together in one big match. And then that is.
It's like the fittest on earth.
What?
It's like the CrossFit Games.
Oh, yeah.
And that's in Vegas?
Yeah.
What time of year do they do that?
That just happened. So I think it's
fall.
At the end of October.
Yeah, it's a fall deal.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah. But, man, there's so many other good ones out there that you'd want to shoot. It's hard to choose. I mean, we're in a very, very lucky time, You can buy a 650 horsepower Corvette for $70,000 and a 100,000-mile warranty, and you can go shoot a match in any quarter of the United States, except for California, and have a fantastic time. I'm kidding. California can too, but
you can't have as much fun there.
Right.
So that brings me to the next question. What do you think about Three Gun Nation forsaking the Western United States?
Oh man, that's a tough
one. It just led right into that.
Well, yeah. So that one's unfortunate. So a little background on that. Three Gun Nation obviously implies national. When they put out their 2017 calendar, the Western Regional is in Texas. What?
That's as west as you can get,
As west as you can get. Last year, I guess this year that we're talking, 2016, it was in St. George, Utah, at the Southern Utah Practical Shooters or Tactical Performance Center, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not back there this year. And Three Gun, I've noticed that Three Gun as a whole seems to be bigger on the East Coast. And
a lot of shoots out east and
there's
in the
so many,
south, right?
So many. I spent so much time out there this year, and I went back twice. I went there the first time and then came back to Colorado, shoot a match, went back out there. I would say it's probably logistics that and I guess I could just ask Chad and Pete if
I mean, that makes
maybe
sense.
have them on the show, but I guess that it's logistics because they move their targetry around the country, right? And then maybe it's also because there's not near as many shooters in the West or shooters willing to travel for a match in the West.
Well, let me ask you this. So, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
it's okay.
I think this is related. What is the Three Gun Show's demographic nationally?
I'm not done. Can we go back to the Three Gun Nation one?
Yeah, no, but I mean, as part of that.
Oh, nationally?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what I mean. Is nationally, does it jive with how Three Gun Nation puts in there?
I'm sorry, I was thinking demographics like male, female, age, stuff like that.
No.
So,
Sorry.
Well, I will
geographically. I guess I should have said.
There we go. Okay,
yes.
I will vamp just for a moment because I will tell you exactly because I have that sort of information available.
This is the information super age.
It is. So, I would say, back to the Three Gun Nation question. I'm from Colorado, and we don't have a Three Gun Nation club here. Why that is anyone's guess. And I think that in Colorado, we need a Three Gun Nation club to get people interested in wanting to shoot the Three Gun Nation regionals and wanting to be in the Three Gun Nation Pro Series, because you can get through there through the club series or through the regionals.
Okay.
That is why I would say that there's not as much interest in Three Gun Nation in Colorado, and then if you maybe extrapolate that to the rest of the western places,
say Montana,
Yeah.
Wyoming, Idaho.
yeah. So if you go to threegunnation.com and you look for clubs, there's a ton of them out east, and you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a Three Gun Nation club, and there's not that many out west. Also, Three Gun Nation is out east. So, chicken or the egg, I don't know what happened first, but it totally bums me out because I think that there's like a whole half of the country that's being overlooked in that. I mean, granted, there is a whole regional series, from Minnesota to Texas and all the way east. There's plenty of matches. So if someone were from Utah, Colorado, whatever, wanted to go to one of those matches, they obviously could travel for it.
Right.
But you don't get like the local sort of person like, oh, it's going to be in Colorado. Well, I'm in Colorado. I guess I'll shoot that. That sort of thing.
Yeah, or Washington, Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I don't think it's that as popular as it is back east. So.
But if you don't have any clubs, how can it be, right?
Again, chicken or the egg.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if there's the demand for it, so who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So is it that there's no supply or is that there's no demand? I don't know what the thing is. But anyway, so I will give you the, let's see, 1 through 9, the top downloaded.
By state?
Yeah.
Okay.
Top downloaded by state of the Three Gun Show.
Okay.
Number 1, California.
Hey, look
I know
at that.
all those people that I just. Sorry, guys. We love you, and I'm sad.
We're sorry you don't have a regional.
Yeah, we're in Denver, and we have 15-round magazines. So
Yeah, we feel your pain.
feel your pain. Number 2 is unknown. So that's just anywhere that didn't have like an identifier on it. Number 3 is Texas. Number 4 is Colorado. Number 5 is Illinois. Number 6 is Florida. Number 7 is North Carolina. Number 8 is Michigan. Number 9 is Washington. And number 10 is Ohio.
Oh, so pretty well spread out.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
all four corners, basically.
Yeah, and that's it's pretty interesting. The
It is.
what do you think the last one is, by the way, just for funsies?
Alaska.
Really?
Yeah. No, wait. Let me change that. Massachusetts.
Delaware.
That was close. Same thing.
Delaware, Rhode Island, and then Wyoming. I always look at Wyoming because we've got buddies there, and I'm like, come on, guys, you don't listen to the show?
Like all four of you are listening.
I know all 4 of you shoot guns. So, obviously, top country is United States. What do you think number 2 and maybe number 3 is?
Number 2 has got to be.
That's an easy one.
It is?
Yeah.
Canada.
Yep.
Yeah. Number 3 is probably like Yemen.
New Zealand.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right. Let me give you another one here.
Okay.
A lot of people asked about gear. A lot of people asked about gear.
We skipped one, right? Because I refused to answer it. Did we want to come back to that one?
Which one did you refuse to answer?
I wanted to go back to the Three Gun Nation one there. So whatever was.
Oh, I
before
thought
gear.
you didn't answer that one, didn't you?
I'd answered the Three Gun Nation one. What was the one before the gear?
Don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't ask another one.
Oh, okay.
I weaseled in what's your demographic.
Oh, that's what it was. I'm sorry.
But I didn't mean demographic. I meant your geographic.
Okay. My mistake.
Your geographic. Is that even a thing?
Geographic data.
Yeah, there you go. So gear.
Gear.
a lot of people ask specific gear, but I think maybe we break this down into one easy kind of, well, maybe not easy, but simplify it to what has been your best gear purchase since you began shooting.
Oh, man.
3
It depends on when you ask me this question.
I'm asking you right now, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So let's say this year. This is the first year that you've shot like a ton of matches, right?
Yeah, and so this is the first year that I had a legit dedicated 3-gun rifle.
Right.
And also in the later part of the year, I picked up a super modified Stoeger M3000 shotgun as well. Oh, man, that's a tough one. I got to go the rifle, though.
The rifle?
Yeah, so that shotgun is awesome. Like, it loads so easy, and it shoots very well. It's a lot easier. I don't know if it's easier or just maybe more fun to handle than my Mossberg was. It cheeks better for me. Like it comes up easier. Just feels like I acquire the targets faster. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun for sure. And the port work that RCI X-Rail did on it is just absolutely fantastic. So I love that thing, but I got to give that number 2 place. The first place definitely is going to be the rifle. For a long time, I shot like an M4 style carbine, 1-to-7 twist barrel, full mass carrier, non-adjustable gas block, and then like a Michelette comp with like a Geissele 3-gun trigger for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I shot limited for a long time. So this year I actually picked up an optic, a Burris XTR2 1-to-5 with the ballistic, or the ballistic mill, I think they call it, mill ballistic reticle, whatever it is. Mill CQ, I don't know, whatever. The one of the mill lines.
Got all the mills.
Got all the mills. I picked that up. It's really good glass. I built a rifle only because I had picked up a Noveske Gen 2 chainsaw lower a long time ago, just because the
right.
magwell was all big, and I was like, yeah, you gotta go big magwell. And then I spent way too long picking out a barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and finally I went with a Seekins Precision 18-inch barrel, and I was chatting with my buddy Mo Shaw, and who shoots for Precision, shoots for Seekins Precision.
Let that bourbon kick in.
Yeah, no kidding. Shoots for Seekins Precision, and I told him, I'm like, all right, dude, no bullshit. Is this barrel as good as you say? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. If you don't like it, I'll buy it back from you whenever you don't like it.
Nice.
Yeah, totally. And he's not getting it back because it shoots great.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. So I built the rifle based off of like a conversation that I had with Craig Outson. So I went with an 18-inch rifle length gas system, 18-inch barrel, rifle length gas, 1-in-8 twist. And I think I did a Seekins adjustable gas block on there too. The upper receivers, an Aero Precision, and I kind of went low end on the handguard with a Midwest Industries. I think I went with Key Mod on that, but it works out great because it's got the QD clips in there and everything. Mm-hmm. So that thing is actually really nice too. And it's great value for the price. I had a Black Rain Ordnance trigger in there that I had won, and then I just recently switched over to a Timney 2-stage that I haven't shot a match with yet. I picked up a Luth AR stock off of a prize table that I have on there, and that makes it like a goofy balance compared to that old A2 stock that I had on there, because I had a lot of weight in that A2 stock, but I like it. It fits well anyway. And then let's see, I have JP low mass buffer, JP spring in the buffer tube. And I initially started out with a JP low mass carrier and bolt. I'm testing on an Iron City carrier right now. And I think that's it. Oh, compensator. I asked Nick Atkinson what he thought of his compensator he used last year, and it was an SJC Titan. He's like, oh yeah, it was great. So I just got that.
Done and done.
Yeah, done and done. All right, works for me. So that thing shoots so freaking well. Like, I always thought that it was me that couldn't shoot, past 200, 300 yards. But with good match grade ammo. And
What are you using for ammo?
so right now I'm using Hornady 55 grain VMAX.
Okay.
I did use Gorilla 77 grain for a while. I really liked it. And then I ran out, and just Cabela's happened to have VMAX on sale, and turns out it's like super accurate. So I'm like, okay, I'll just be using these little laser beams.
Yeah, Hornady's good stuff.
Yeah, I would like to go to like a heavier round though, like maybe a 69 grain, 68 grain, something like that. But the 55 grain, I bought a bunch of it on sale, so I'll shoot that.
Got
until
that
it's
for a
gone.
while, yeah.
Yeah, and it shoots so dang straight. It's great. But anyway, so that rifle has been the best bang for buck upgrade that I've made. I mean, I'm in matches making first round shots at 375 yards. In practice,
That would have took you four rounds before, perhaps.
I would have spent a whole mag and not hit it.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Makes up a lot of time.
Exactly. So yeah, that's been huge. I love that thing.
So this is a pretty good segue into this one, because you mentioned how you've had these conversations with these guys about your rifles. So how has running the 3-gun show changed your game?
Like, you want me to list a
Well,
number
you
of
don't have
ways?
to list them, but obviously I just gave you one, right? Like,
Sure.
having access to these guys.
I would say, if the question is how has it changed my game, I would say in every way imaginable.
Yeah.
Every way imaginable. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you shot a few years before you
Yeah.
started the show. I mean, how much has your game changed since you started the show, would you say?
Completely. Like
Gotta be-
the changes that I made in those first 4 years I was shooting before I started the show, and the changes that I made in the year and a half since I started the show, there's been way more changes since I started the show.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I would say twofold in that year and a half as compared to the 4 years before.
Mm-hmm.
So in a year and a half period, twofold the changes that I made in 1 year. I just kept doing more of the same stuff I was doing in those 4 years.
Right.
And not understanding why I wasn't getting any better.
So it's changed not only your gear, but how you shoot.
So, yeah, I mean, way back in episode 1, chatting with Greg Jordan about some of the concepts that we were covering was just like mind blowers, just like, fireworks going off. It's like, holy cow. And then, same thing when I talked to Keith Garcia in episode 2. And then when we got to Travis Gibson in number 3, man, when he started talking about mental game, like I had never even thought about it that much, about like how, and which is weird because, you and I have had so many discussions about mental performance in obstacle racing or in weightlifting,
Right.
things in the gym and stuff like that. And how
90% mental, right?
Yeah. So ridiculous. It's so stupid.
It applies to everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. I mean, like, I remember the first time I tried to squat 300 pounds, I didn't think I could do it. And do you think I did it?
No, you didn't.
No,
You didn't think you could
absolutely
do
not.
it.
So, yeah, I mean, it's funny how maybe you don't assume that there's so many parallels between the things you're doing. And I guess I would say, like, since we're on the topic, one of the big misconceptions that I had about 3-gun is that it's a brute force sport of like manly proportions, right? Rather than a thinking man's game, which it certainly is a thinking man's game. And that's where I think Travis opened my eyes to the mental side of it and the mental preparedness sort of thing and how to think about the game, and then how he talks to his son about the game and things of that nature. And it's funny, you and I have spent a lot of time watching documentaries with all these meatheads who turn out to be, really great thinkers.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And
surprisingly,
good like
thinkers.
you look at them and you think like, oh yeah, dude, that guy's whacked out of his mind on like pre-workout and steroids, and it's true, but he also.
Well, he is, but
he also, when he's
also graduated college. So
in exercise science and a double major in kinesiology.
Right.
And then so when he goes up to to approach the bar for a snatch or a clean and jerk, he's thinking about the mechanics of the thing, not like lift overhead, that sort of thing. So I would that's one big thing that I learned from and I guess I continually learn from all the people in the sport. We talk about mental game a lot, and I think a lot of people have it nailed down and don't know they have it nailed down.
And just because it comes naturally to them.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and maybe naturally is the wrong way to do it, but because they've been athletes for so long.
Okay.
Like you look at Rick Birdsall, for example, when we were at the Three Gun Nation Nationals, he was, joking around, having a good time, came over, talked to us between runs, and he's like, oh, sorry, guys, I got to go, beat up on Keith Garcia now. It's like, oh, you probably should have been focusing instead of talking to us. But for him, it's like such second nature that he just flicks it on and flicks it off because he's been an athlete for a long period of time.
Sure.
So he has the ability to go in and out of that.
Right.
Now, as you know, like I came into athletics like in the later part of my 20s, not necessarily a whole lot in the early part of my life. So it's still something that I'm working through and going through in my head. And maybe people that have taken periods off where they maybe played high school ball, played ball all the way through high school, didn't do anything, and then now like maybe in their early 30s or mid 30s they're getting into the three gun. Now they've got to get back into that, and maybe that's a hard thing, and that's why the mental game seems so important.
Mm-hmm. So do you have any sort of mental practices that you do to help you focus, or something you do before a match to keep you? Because I remember the first time I've only shot a couple local matches with you, but
right.
Nervous as hell every time I've been out there.
Yeah. we should talk about that first match experience in a minute here, but
well, no, I think the one at Knob Creek was the most embarrassing.
The shotgun one?
I almost put a bunch of slugs into some steel that was not supposed to be slugged, and almost convinced myself they weren't slugs.
Did you put slugs in there? No, I didn't.
No, these are definitely not slugs. You could see the big hunk of freaking lead sticking out of the top.
That was
that guy was very nice to me.
Jeremy Parker.
Was it?
Yeah, he was. He shot for Team Benelli at the time.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
He was the guy that asked, "Where y'all staying?" And I was like, "Louisville." He's like, "Where?"
Louisville.
And you were like, "Louisville."
Louisville.
That's what they call it, Colorado. Seriously, we have a Louisville here. It's spelled the same.
Yeah, it is.
So, mental game. So I have a meditation practice that I'm constantly working on that I try to do every day. Right now I'm to about like every other day, and I would like to get to where it is every day.
When do you do that?
Let's see.
Typically, ideally.
Yeah, so now I this is a multifaceted question.
Okay.
When I had a full-time job, I would get up, get ready for work, go to work, get that first meeting out of the way, and then I was usually so frustrated from that meeting, that's when I would do my meditation to calm down and then reset for the rest of the day. So that would probably be around like 8:30 in the morning, something like that. And I would just go find a spot at work where no one was, and I would just sit. And I have an app that's called Calm that I use. And I find the guided meditations, especially when you're started out, really help. So
Sure.
that's what I would use. Now I kind of do 50-50 guided and unguided. But now I do it after I've got up, I've done a little bit of stretching, maybe walked around a little bit, and then I'll do my meditation. But I've found recently, and I figured this out, that I'm having trouble calming my mind. And I realized that I've been doing my meditation after my first cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's a no-no.
it is. So I've been trying to reel that back in, but it's such a weird thing. Like, your routine is your routine, right?
Yeah.
Get up, let the dog out, make the coffee, feed the dog, drink the coffee. I've done that every freaking morning that dude's been alive, right? So that's my routine. And then it's like, oh crud, I gotta meditate. Now I have like my mind's going.
Let me see how fast I can get this meditation in.
Yeah, but I can get 20 minutes meditation in 10 minutes. But
concentrate real hard.
yeah, but that's not something you generally think about. But
Sure.
so this may sound woo woo for people that aren't open to it, but if you're not open to it, maybe you should be open to it, right?
Yep.
So, it has really helped me in most situations. Like if you've listened to this show before, you heard that my truck was dropped off of a lift, and I somehow managed not to physically assault the people that did it.
I remember when you sent me the text, I was like, oh, man, I feel sorry for those guys. And you were like, no, it's cool. And I was like, really? All right, Dave.
Yeah, well, and I
Good for you, buddy.
And I texted you later on. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out why I'm not upset about this.
Right.
Why? Well, I mean, obviously I'm upset, but why I'm not, screaming, yelling, upset, which is definitely something I would have been.
Old Dave would have.
Yeah, 5 years ago, something like that. I definitely would have. And you were the one that said things are things. So yeah, I mean that's part of it, but I think also part of it is the meditative practice. But anyway, so back to shooting. I try to do that in the morning before a match, and I'm not the best at waking up and being prepared and ready to go for a match. So maybe I don't get that whole 10 minutes in, but I do get 5 minutes, and that's enough. Just to kind of head me in that right direction. Before I shoot, probably 1 spot down, 2 spots down, whatever it is, I kind of start to peel away, make sure I have everything that I need for the stage, and then just kind of in my head visually just go through every single target if I can. And if I can't, then I'll go find that target, and then I'll start from the beginning. Try to do every single one of those. A lot of visualization of where the targets are, how you're going to engage them, what that sight picture looks like. And that sight picture is a big thing, especially when you're doing like long range rifle. And that's another little tip there is when you get your program going and you're like, okay, I'm going to go left to right. And that's 210, 220, 210, 250, 300, 320, now you've got to not only think shoot. You got to think like hold too.
Right.
So you got to know where your holds are for that. So that's part of that mental preparation. So then when it's, when everyone's almost coming off the line, couple deep breaths, and then make ready. So
I mean, that kind of, well, I'll let you finish, but that kind of bleeds over to a lot of people ask about stage breakdown. And so is that for you? It's more of a mental.
Well, let me wrap up that thought real quick, because one thing that I've also been dealing with lately is fatigue and having bad stages, and then how I deal with that. So,
okay.
I gotta say, like this year, I've been handed my behind by stages so many times.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to bigger matches than I ever have before. And I feel like a pressure to perform that I never had before. And so I'm dealing with like, how do I mitigate that pressure to perform? And then, what happens if I have a bad stage? So what happens if I have a bad stage is, I need to give myself time to take a deep breath, observe that bad stage happened, and then let it go. Because one thing that I have done is just like, F it, I don't want to think about it. I'm just going to go reset targets. And then, so I grab some tape, go reset targets, and then I'm like pissed, and thinking like, man. And then it carries on the next stage.
You're burying it rather than observing it.
Yeah. So So one thing that has helped me, and this actually happened at Nationals, is I just took, 13 paces walking away from the stage, my back to the stage, deep breaths, close my eyes, like, that stage is over. We got to concentrate on the next one and just let that go. That happened. There's nothing we can do about it now. We can concentrate on the next stages. And then after I did that, like, I ended up having better stages because I did let that sort of anger and frustration go. So I would highly recommend that people learn to do that.
Right.
Because if you carry that around with you, you'll carry it with you the entire match. So you got to let that stuff go.
I think you'd just be blowing stage after stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what I did. I blew 2 stages in a row until I did that. And then once I did, then those next stages went swimmingly.
So how does your mental preparedness work into stage breakdown or tips for stage breakdown? A lot of people ask about how to break down stages.
Yeah, stage breakdown is
It's an art form, isn't it?
it really is. It really is. So it's something that I'm still working on, my method of stage breakdown. I would say one disadvantage that I have is that I travel by myself. So if you have a shooting buddy that you travel with all the time, you guys got to get a rhythm down, because it definitely helps to bounce those ideas off of someone else. If you are traveling by yourself and guys are on your squad, reach out to them. Say, hey, I'm going to arrive on this day and walk stages and do stage breakdown. Would you like to meet at the range so we can do it together? Highly recommend doing that. When I was at the Clinton House in South Carolina, one of the best stage breakdown sessions I had was after the first day of shooting, which was total crap. and it was the evening, and I was staying on the range, had my trailer parked by their plugins, and Luke and Ashley Gosnell were also staying there, and some other people were with us. Luke and I were like, well, hey, we want to go check out the stages for tomorrow. So Luke and I, just the two of us, went and walked stages, and no one else was there. Shooting was all over. Everyone was back at their hotel relaxing and stuff like that. And it was just him and I on the range, and we walked the 4 stages we were going to shoot the next day. And we got such great stage plans, and it was such a good give and take that it was like, dude, Luke, we should squat together more.
Right.
It was really cool to be able to do that with him and have definitely a focused, dedicated person to do that with. And then that was when I realized, hey, that's one thing I've been missing from this whole deal. So get a good buddy is number one. Make sure you guys know each other's strengths, or maybe you shoot at a similar level or something like that. The easiest thing to say is stage breakdown. You always go find all the targets first, and yeah, you have to do that.
Sure.
I try to not decide right off okay, this is where you start and this is where you go, but I do that because that's what humans do, right? You want to know where the start line is and the finish line.
Right. You need that kind of that pathway laid out in front of you, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what we as humans try to do. But if you try to break that by just oh, here's where we are, and look at all the targets first instead of where's the start box, that I think helps a lot.
Because more of the bigger picture rather than step by step. Yeah,
and maybe you'll see something from somewhere that you wouldn't have seen because you're winding a linear path. Yeah, and then from there, there's some sort of voodoo that I don't understand, and then
then you have to rub some kind of poultice on your rifle.
Yeah. So one of the big things that has helped me out though is something I learned from Mark Passmanic and James Casanova, and it's chunking. And so you look at it as a pistol stage, a rifle stage, and a shotgun stage, if those are the guns you're shooting, right? And so you think, here's where I'm shooting my pistol, and then you program that stage, that pistol stage, right? And then you look at, this is where I'm shooting my rifle, and you program that rifle stage. And then you look at, this is where I'm shooting my shotgun, and then you program that shotgun stage. And then you program the transitions in between. Like, this is where my rifle is going to be. This is where I dump my pistol. And then you program that transition. Now you're picking your rifle up. For rifle, obviously, the big thing is you're going to want to know your holds.
Right.
Obviously, you've counted all the targets and everything, so you know if you need to do mag changes for pistol or for rifle. You want to know your holds for the long targets. I like to sketch them out, because sketching out where the targets are helps me in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, the stage descriptions are either very good to suck really bad, and it's
Somewhere in there.
everywhere in between. and it's
So do you carry a pad with you when you go out?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I have or just a piece of paper,
Mm-hmm.
and generally we'll shoot 4 stages one day and 4 stages the next day. 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I fold it in fourths.
Okay.
And it's usually the back of something that had something on there. So the back is fourths, and that's 4 stages.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of how I do it. Or I bring my notebook, whatever. I guess I'm not really dedicated in that sort of manner, but I do always have a pen with me, no matter where I go. And I like to sketch things out, because sketching things helps me remember them. It's just like writing things down off the chalkboard versus like trying to memorize them.
Sure. Yep.
So then
Imprints it in your mind.
Yeah. So then when I sketch the long range targets, then obviously you note what the distance is between them, and then you can practice that when you get home. I always put them in Streetlock app. Streetlock will show you where your hold is for that distance target, and then I'll screen capture that, and then now it's in my gallery. Like your photo gallery. So then I can just sort through. I don't have to go back to Streetlock and punch in new data.
Oh, okay. That's
It
smart.
just already automatically has it in there. And then obviously shotgun, then you planning your load is the biggest thing you want to do there. Choking and load.
So you mentioned a few names in that in stage breakdown. Who have you walked stages with that you would say is a master of stage breakdown? First couple of names that come to mind.
I'm smiling. You saw my smile. I would say Nick Atkinson.
I knew that was coming up.
Yeah, for sure. So Nick is funny, because he says very few things. One of them is "fuck that," and another one is "how about this," and he'll just keep repeating those things when he's walking stages. So if you're like, so we're gonna stage rifle here? He's like, no, fuck that. How about this? How about this? That's his whole stage breakdown thing. But he is very, very again, dedicated is the proper term for this, to walking the stages, and he's very observant. And Nick doesn't realize it, and he thinks he doesn't, but he has an incredible memory. We were running shot drills with a timer, and he wrote absolutely nothing down and remembered every single time that we shot.
Really?
Yeah, on reps.
Wow.
He just remembered the first one, remember your second one. Well, so your first one was a 6.7, your second one was a 5.7, so you took a 10th off there, and then we're like all the way down to number 12 by now, And so I think he thinks that's normal, but that's definitely not normal. But it also makes him really good at stage breakdown. And I've even asked him, I was like, do you think your memory helps you in stage breakdown? And he's like, I don't have good memory. Like, no, dude, I watched you. You definitely do.
Just normal memory for him, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's his norm, right? He's like, how come everyone else can't do this?
What's wrong with you people?
Yeah. So when I was in Texas, I shot on a squad with Nick, Rick Birdsall, Keith Garcia, the Cobalt Kinetics dudes.
Right.
And then Kyle Simank was supposed to be on our squad, but he bugged out in the rain and went and had fun instead. But when we were walking stages, it was Kyle and Nick and I, and then Keith joined us after like 30 minutes. And watching Kyle and Nick and Keith work off of each other for stage breakdown was really a unique and fun experience. And those guys are seriously good. Those guys are a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I will say another cool stage breakdown story. When I was at Generation 3 Gun, Generation 3 Gun, I didn't even mention that in the first one, but that was an awesome match. That one's a lot of fun. In Generation 3 Gun, I shot on a squad with the Mitchell X. And we were walking the stage, and the day before we finished late, so we didn't get a chance to walk the stages before that, but I had walked them the day before, so it was like on our 5-minute walkthrough or something like that. And I'm coming up on this spool, and Jerry is standing next to me, and so I kind of, put my hand out like, oh, you want to go? He's like, no, you go first. And so I kind of kneeled down a couple different places on the spool, trying to figure out where I wanted to shoot from his long-range rifle on this big giant wire spool. And I just kind of picked up like, all right, I'm going to go double kneeling. And then I was just kneeling in the middle of it with my air rifle, my imaginary rifle rested on there. And I stood up and I was like, huh? Kind of shrugged my shoulders, and he's like, that how you can do it? And I'm like, oh, I think so. And he's like, well, let me try it. And so he gets down there, and he gets, and for him, he got in reverse kneel, and I think he thought that was better, but for me, double kneel was better. But he scooched all the way over to the right side, and he put his right arm up against the side of the spool, and he pushed on it, and kind of got like wedged in there, like he was getting tight. But he did it really not subtle at all, really over the top, like, hey, look what I'm doing.
Like, maybe this would be a better position for you.
Yeah, he did that. And then he got in there, and he stood up, and he goes, he says, oh, that felt good. And then he turns around, and he looks at me, and he's like, well, that's what I'm going to do. And then he walked off.
Well, it turns out that's what I'm going to do, too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
That's good, though.
Yeah, it was great. It was really cool to, Jerry's a incredibly talented shooter because he's worked so hard for it, but he's also very, very humble still. So he's not gonna, well, boy, you're doing that all wrong. He's gonna do that subtle, like, oh, this is what I would do.
Right, and he's also not gonna feel like you're. Like he's going to try to edge you out so he can win or something, right? Like,
well, and we're shooting different divisions,
right.
And he probably sized me up already.
He had no idea.
He's like, Dave needs some help here.
What are you doing back there? Oh,
why would you get in the middle?
You could do it that way, or
another fun person to do stage breakdown with is Tim Yackley.
Okay,
Tim is he's. See, I think he's 18 now, 18 in a couple months. So he's still at that age where he does things faster than you should be able to do them because he doesn't know that that's not possible.
Right.
Which is how I describe Nate Staskowicz's shooting. Like, Nate just goes out and does things because he's like, oh, this is how I should do it. And like, that's not possible. What are you doing? But he doesn't have all those scars and the ego that we have as men, right? So Tim is super, super conservative as far as his stage plans, and he just executes them well.
Well, there you go then.
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's like,
that's just that easy.
Yeah. I'll be darned. I thought I had to do hero crap all this time.
All right, let's move on. So this is probably the most asked question in some form or another. I'm not even sure how to ask it, so feel...
Boxer briefs.
Yeah, well, we're done.
Next question.
Thanks for joining us here on so feel free to expand on it because it can roll into a bunch of stuff. So basically, it's training. How do you train? Best training practices. How to increase speed. Shorten time. Position. Bob,
Wow.
all of them. And on top of that, tons of people ask about dry fire protocols.
Okay.
I figure that's kind of all into one.
So, how to train? So, how to train or how do I train?
How do you train was probably the most asked, and then was, finding time to train, dry fire practice.
How I train is sporadic at best, and I usually do it by tricking people into taking me to the range with them and showing me how to do stuff. So but that's because I travel full time, right? So I don't have a home range. When I did have a home range, my pal Bill and I set up a thing where we would practice every single Saturday or Sunday, it doesn't matter. 1 day a week we would practice, and we would practice one gun at a time. And
so for that Saturday or Sunday, you would just do the one gun?
Yeah. This Saturday is rifle. This Saturday is pistol. This Saturday is shotgun.
Okay.
And we took turns figuring out what drills we wanted to do and stuff like that. So, and we even went so far as to okay, well, this Saturday we're doing short range rifle.
Okay.
This Saturday we're doing long range rifle.
So real specific training.
Yeah, specific type of training. So, looking back, maybe we made it a little bit too complicated. But it was definitely a lot of fun. We had a great time doing it, and we were more polished and we would do that in the wintertime, and we were more polished for springtime when the matches started, for sure. That was, I think, the best training that I could do. I would also, if I had it to do again, would throw in, or I guess I could do it now.
Speaking of wintertime,
I would throw in 2 to 3 dry fire sessions a week in there too. At the time, I thought maybe if I shoot 3 pistol matches a week and 1 3-gun match on the weekend, then I will be an awesome shooter. But I wish that, and this is the great thing about the show, is that people can learn from my mistakes and do something different going forward. Instead of shooting 3 live fire pistol matches a week, and 1 3-gun match on the weekend, I wish I had done 2 dry fire sessions, 1 pistol match, and that 3-gun match. That is what I think would have been beneficial. And if you don't have the resources to do a pistol match during the week, then make it 3 dry fire sessions. One of the things that Jason Hintz said when I was hanging out with him was he tries to do something gun related every single day, and for him it's 2 to 3 live fire sessions a week, 2 to 3 dry fire sessions a week, reloading, and then maybe taking a new person to the range or something like that. So, and of course it varies during the week depending on your schedule and stuff like that. So that I think is the ticket. Dry fire is huge, and I think largely underutilized in 3-gun, or maybe just not.
It seems like it's a thing that everybody knows they should do, but nobody knows how to do it.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, I remember I've been shooting various guns since I was 18, so, almost 25 years now. And it's been something I've heard from the beginning and just never got around to doing.
Dry fire.
Doing much of, I should say. I did a little bit.
No, you're right. And dry fire is something that everyone knows that they should do, but people rarely do it. And I think it's because maybe it's boring, but it doesn't have to be boring, right? I've read a couple dry fire manuals, and I would say of the ones that I've read, it was probably 50% boring to 50% not boring, right? So, and I think it just maybe has a negative connotation of I'm just going to go draw and point at the wall for an hour. But I think it can be better than that. And I would like to see something that is more fun and more interactive and better, and it seems like the audience is looking for a lot of, dry fire direction too. So maybe
it was probably the most asked question.
Yeah. So I would say for my dry fire, when I was dry firing the most, I spent the most time on reloading or on loading the shotgun, and I feel like that's what most people do in 3-gun. I still think that there's room for good pistol handling skills in dry fire for 3-gun, but I think that one thing that's missing is a long range rifle component for dry fire, and that granted that's kind of hard to do in your basement, But I don't know. Maybe I'll think on that. Maybe there is some way to do it.
Yeah. absolutely. So, talking training, this came up a couple times, and I'm kind of curious too. We've talked about it a little bit, so I have a pretty good idea what it is. But what's your favorite? Let's call it live fire. What's your favorite live fire training drill?
Man, we just talked about this last night, didn't we?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, night
That's
or
kinda
night
weird.
before. Yeah.
I've done this in with multiple people, and I can never remember exactly what it's called, but most recently, Jacob Betzworth ran Jason Hintz and I through this in Omaha, and he called it the AMU drill. I don't know if it's the AMU drill, just maybe the dudes from the AMU do this a lot, right? But basically, you start with 2 boxes, 12 yards apart, 10 yards apart, something like that, laterally, side to side. Downrange, you have one target that's dead center in the middle of them, and that's probably 12 yards downrange for pistol, and maybe a little more if you're doing something different.
So basically a triangle if you're doing a pistol.
Basically a triangle. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Way to go, Wade Jones. I described a triangle.
That's the longest winded triangle explanation I've ever heard in my
It's
life.
like a pyramid, but 2-dimensional.
And on the ground, and you can stand on it and shoot at it.
Yeah, so that was okay. So my long-winded triangle. So anyway, steel target downrange, probably 8-inch, 10-inch circles, something like that, depending on your, your abilities and what you have available. So basically, you start in box A, and you take a shot on the target.
One shot.
If it dings, you move to the next box. If it doesn't, you move to the next box.
Okay.
You're counting eight hits. So you shoot, ding, move to the next box, and the cool thing about this, I'll describe the drill before I tell you the cool thing about it. So then you move to the next box, take a shot, ding, move to the next box, take a shot, ding. So you're basically running back and forth, side to side, and taking shots. You can do this with rifle if you have a longer target, a longer triangle. What do they call that?
Bigger triangle?
Longer triangle?
What is the taller triangle?
I don't know. It's an acute angle down there.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of engineers in 3-gun, and they're all yelling at us right now.
Yeah, they're like, it's isosceles.
No, isosceles
it's not
is the equal
isosceles.
one.
Yeah, we had an isosceles already.
Yeah. Okay, so,
That other one.
but anyway, yeah, so for rifle, you're going to want to do like maybe a 50-yard target or a 30-yard target, something where the steel won't come back at you. You're not going to damage your target.
Right.
For shotgun, you can use the same 10 yards, something like that. You can also do this with a popper, by the way, just one popper set up hard so it won't fall over.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can do it back and forth with a shotgun. The cool thing about doing it with shotgun is you can, but you don't have to, throw in the load in the middle. So you can, as you're running from box to box, load 4, and then take a shot, load 4, take a shot. Granted, you can't do that for all 8 shots, but so you can do that with pistol, you can do it with shotgun, you can do it with rifle. And so this teaches you movement, teaches you to move fast, and it teaches you to get your hits. Because if you don't get your hits, now you're sprinting from box to box, and by the time you've got that 12th shot off, you're like out of breath and the drill's over. You're like, screw this, I don't even want to do this anymore, because you can't even hold your sights on the target. But Jacob was telling us, he's like, dude, I lost a ton of weight just doing doing this
really?
one drill. Yeah. So it teaches you a number of things. It teaches you moving quickly. It teaches you moving left to right, right to left. It teaches you how to leave a position, and it teaches you how to get into a position. So like we were talking about earlier with your pistol, you don't want to be running straight toward that box, get in the box, stop, turn 90 degrees, bring up your pistol, and take that shot. You want to have it up the whole time you're running, and then just before you break in there, the last 3, you're slowing down, you're squatting into that position, you're getting both hands on it, and you're breaking the shot just as you're coming into the box. And then when you hit it, now you're ready to, all your weight's on your left foot, you're ready to move back to that right. So that's what I like about that one.
And
you can do that in dry fire too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. For sure. And then, so would you, since you could do it with any gun, would you also do it where you would set up maybe a barricade position too, where you could run, set up off a barricade, shoot, run, get into that up and down?
Yeah. If you were That's a good point.
Could do with a lot of things, it would seem.
Yeah, I guess you can modify it in a number of different ways, and that's a really good idea. Like if you've got 2 3GN barricades or 2 VTAC walls, something like that, you can put out, say, like a 200-yard target, and you can run over there, get down into reverse kneel, or just post up on the barricade, take that shot, ding, now move into the next position and make me take a different position off the wall.
That sounds like a real simple, effective.
Yeah, very simple.
I could see why
Very
it's your favorite.
versatile. Yeah, and you only need one target.
Right.
That's what I like about it.
And not, you don't have to burn a lot of ammo to do it.
Yeah, each drill is 8 rounds if you do it perfect, right?
Mm-hmm. And how many drills would you run that at a time when you would do it?
Until you vomit.
Yeah?
No.
Until you crap yourself.
So too. No.
Until you eat it at one point, running back and forth.
Yeah, that's a real thing. When I did that with Bill back in the day, we did it with our rifles and 22 conversions.
Mm-hmm.
So we had pretty close targets. And for some reason, Bill was like, "Nah, it's 20 yards between boxes." I'm like, "Okay, whatever."
Wow.
And you can make it as much or little as you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that sucked. And
That's a good bit of hoofing.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, when you think about it, for 8 shots, that's what, 2 times 8, 160 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone will write in and tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so that's a lot. So I think we did that like 2 times each, and then we were like, okay, we're done. And then when
I'm good.
Yeah, when we did it with Jacob, we were taking turns, and then like I would do it, and then Jason would do it, and then I think Jake even popped in there to like, okay, here's what I see you doing. Watch when I do this. So maybe we had like a little bit more of a break, but I think we ran through that like 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
But I could see that being like the one thing you do all day long.
Yeah, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
And you could set it up. You don't need a lot of room to do it.
Yeah,
Nice.
no, and yeah, you can do it in like really short bays, which is good because a lot of ranges have shorter bays.
Mm-hmm.
The other good thing about it is, like we were talking about, it's a super physical drill. It teaches you to move faster, and it will give you the conditioning that you need for 3-gun.
So again, that leads perfectly into a lot of people ask about physical training and physical fitness for 3-gun. What are your thoughts on that? Anything that you recommend more than others? I mean, what do you see people doing that's working? What are people not doing? What might they do differently?
So I would say whatever Andy Peterson's doing.
Yeah, he's got it down. Whatever he's looking good, feeling good.
He's looking good, moving fast. No, I would. If you're gonna pick a guy out, it would be obviously Daniel Horner. That guy moves so fast, so quick. He's super agile, and then he can stop on a dime and take like a position, and he doesn't look like he's laboring in his breathing. He's just in that good a shape because he's been doing this for so long, for such a great frequency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that said, he's in the Army, so you're not going to be able to, unless you're shooting on a squad with him and you pick his brain and maybe get him right down on a note card, you're not going to have like easy access to what he's doing. For me, the best I ever felt at matches was when I was going to CrossFit gym 3 to 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that I remember when I first went there, I was talking to one of the owners, Jesse, and he's like, "We're going to get you squatting." And I was like, "Well, I want to be faster for obstacle races, and I want to be better at moving for shooting." And he's like, "Yeah, we're going to get you squatting a lot." And I'm like, "This guy's out of his mind. Like, I don't want to squat. I want to move fast."
Right. I want to run.
Yeah. And it was pretty insane because I was like, okay, this guy, I'm going to give him a shot and see what he knows and see, maybe what I don't know. And sure enough, man, just squatting like a ton, doing heavy cleans and heavy snatches and stuff like that. Well, I guess I never did like heavy snatches. I guess like a ton of snatches, but heavy cleans and heavy squats and a ton of deadlifts. I took I think 6 minutes off my 5K time.
Wow.
And, yeah, and that was the best I've ever moved on the range was when I was doing that stuff. So tons of squats, tons of lunges,
Strength training
for show. Yeah, if you don't have like the ability to go to a gym, probably do have the ability, but you just don't know it. But if you want to do it at home, you can just grab like a bunch of full ammo cans, hold them in your hands, and do squats like as deep as you can, and then do a bunch of lunges as deep as you can, and then throw in some burpees, because burpees is getting down into the prone position like we do with rifles.
Right.
And then getting back up, and you're doing it fast.
Absolutely. That'll get your heart rate up too.
Right. But don't do those wussy burpees where you just do arms extended. Like, get chest on the ground burpees.
Yeah, chest to ground and feet off the ground.
Right. When you
Real
jump.
burpees. Yeah, you got to jump. Makes all the difference. None of that kicking the legs out back in and standing up and pretending like you're doing something.
Right. And then if you still have time and you didn't do the AMU drill like I was telling you earlier, I think that's what it's called. I don't know that for sure. If you don't do that drill, then throw in a little bit of running, and you probably don't need it run more than a mile.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine you need to.
No. Around your block would be enough.
All right. Who's your favorite pro shooter?
Man.
I just figured I'd just let that one out.
Is that a question?
No, that's my question.
Oh. How do you define pro?
Does it for a living would be pro, right?
Oh, okay. So that narrows it down to 4.
4?
Yeah.
Really? 4 guys doing it for full time?
Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 4 dudes on the AMU. No, I would say the dudes on the AMU are doing it full time for a living. And then outside of those guys, and I want to say there's 5 that are regular 3-gunners. And then outside of that would be Taryn Butler. It's got to be someone else. Everyone else has day jobs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well then let's say.
So Taryn Butler.
Yeah, so I'm done. Taryn Butler. There, Taryn it is.
Taryn it is.
You heard it here first. Yeah, I guess there's not that many. So I guess Pro Tour, how about that? Pro Tour shooters. Gives you a lot more people.
Man. Yeah, and that almost makes it tougher.
So many, right?
So many, and such great people too. Because I'm in a unique position to have had the ability to talk to each of these people for
pretty much all of them, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of people that I haven't, but for like an in-depth conversation. So you've made like a good human connection there. So man, that's a tough one. Goodness.
Yeah, that was an unfair question. I just figured I'd throw it out there to kind of rattle you.
Unfair. I know, man. If you
I want to put you on the spot.
If you ask me to pick,
so your buddies have to get mad. So I want to make sure
somebody's your favorite.
Somebody's got to get mad tonight.
So if you ask me one from each state, that would be easy.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's just forget that.
So starting with California, Taryn Butler.
You're all great. What would you do differently? Since the show started, what would you do differently with the show?
With the show?
Yeah. Anything you would have done differently? Lessons learned? Or has it pretty much turned out the way you'd hoped?
I wouldn't say that it's turned out the way I'd hoped, because like we talked about earlier, we're never done, right?
Right.
So we're not done. We're in the middle. It's going exactly like I want. It's way more popular than I thought it would be.
That's good.
Which is, I know. It's better than the opposite, right?
Yep.
Which is totally cool. What would I have done differently?
can't really do differently if you're constantly changing it, I suppose, on the fly,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah, that's a great point because, anytime I think of anything I want to do, I just do it. It's not like I work at a large corporation where I have to get approval from my boss to do stuff, which is
Right.
great, which is the reason I started the show in the first place. Man, there's got to be something, though. Oh,
Got one?
man, I want to say a couple things, Wade, but you know how life is like life is an accumulation of all your experiences and things you learned,
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say that I would have started live interviews, like face-to-face interviews earlier,
Mm.
but
But would you have been able to?
I wasn't able, I don't think I would have been able to. I wasn't ready to do it. It happened at like the perfect right time. And then, it's something I do with frequency now, so it's a good thing. Oh, man, I don't want to be the douche that says like, "Oh, I wouldn't change a thing,"
Right.
but
Well, the way things happen are for a reason, I suppose.
I don't know. We'll see.
And probably people don't know this, and when I was listening to the 100th episode, I kind of thought about it. You mentioned that everybody you reached out to was very cool in being interviewed, but there was also some people that responded with a little bit of skepticism. Weren't sure.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? Why does he? There's a lot of.
Oh, who's the skeptic?
No, I'm just saying, but I don't think people know that people
yeah.
are like, why do you want to interview?
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing, and you and I have tried to figure that out. And the funny part is, at the time, I think it was like it was a big deal. Like I felt like, oh, I don't want this person to think I'm a weirdo, or now I feel bad. But now it's like such bygones, and I probably have had that person on the show, so I even forget who it was.
Right.
I can't even remember, but we've had that conversation. We were trying to figure out like, is it that like gun guys are weary of quote unquote media,
Or like interlopers, right?
interlopers?
Like,
Well, and there was just in the last couple months there was a article that was published about some junior camps where they called them like junior killer camps.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think that there was probably some of that sort of wait and see type of stuff. But
Well, when we went to SHOT Show last year and signed up for our media badges, the guy at the counter was like, "Media, who are you with?"
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
He thought we might be with like CNN or
I remember that.
or Huffington
was
Post
weird.
or something.
I was
Yeah,
like,
he was real.
really? No one from like Guns and Ammo has come through here? I remember that. I forgot about that.
Maybe he'll remember us this year.
Yeah, but
And also, you don't use the. Do you know who I am? You don't use that enough.
I am very important in a small corner of the internet.
Yeah, you need to do it at Starbucks and McDonald's and.
It's a funny story. When I was in Cincinnati, Mo Shaw did that with this restaurant we went to.
He did not.
Yeah, so he's like, because we had done like a little bit of filming of what he does during the day, and he's a farrier, so
right.
shoes horses. So I got to shoe horses, and we did a little bit of that, and then we went to lunch, and there's this cute girl behind the counter, so he immediately starts in with like, "Oh, this is my friend Dave. He's famous, and it's like, Mo."
But you know who he is?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're all trying, and he did do that, and they're all looking at me like, maybe I'm like, no, you don't recognize me.
Trying to place you.
Yeah. Freaking Mo.
That's what buddies are for.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's pretty much all the questions we have from viewers like you. I think I snuck in the ones that I tried to throw you off balance with.
Well, I was gonna tell you my most spectacular disqualification story,
Oh, yeah.
but Mac Bullet McQueen wants to do it on his channel.
Oh, so stay tuned.
So stay tuned.
Nice. Good for
Little
Mac.
teaser.
What else? Anything? Parting thoughts you'd like to say? If you could have a billboard anywhere in the world with anything on it, where would you put it and what would it say? These are some rapid fire questions.
Don't have to answer.
They don't have to have rapid fire answers.
So, for the audience who's like really confused as why we're laughing so hard at this, there's a podcast called the Tim Ferriss podcast that Wade and I both listen to, and this is a question that he frequently asks his guests, and
it's questions you hope to be asked one day because
I'd love to be nice on Tim Ferriss podcast. Right, oh yeah.
Right. So I can ask you.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Like as many times as I heard that, I never thought like, well, what would I want to have on a board?
Oh, I already know. I've thought about it.
Do you? Just
like I never had a walkout song. You're like, oh, I had a walkout song.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Different.
Man, I want to go dark with like You're Being Lied To or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to keep it light, like maybe Love Each Other or
all right.
Be Nice. Ooh, we'll go Roadhouse. Be Nice.
Be Nice. Roadhouse. Maybe it should just say Roadhouse.
It just has a picture of Swayze up there. It just says Be Nice.
Just Be Nice. Fair enough. You want me to give you a couple more of those? I know all the rapid fire.
Do you? All right, let's go for it.
I know. What book or books have you gifted the most, if any, aside from your own? Everybody on the Tim Ferriss podcast has written a book, so he has to throw in that.
So I have given one book.
More than once?
I've given one book as a gift that I purchased as a gift, not as I read this, you should read this.
Gotcha.
And I gave it to my mom. It's called The Untethered Soul.
What's that about?
Untethering your soul.
Did it work?
Nah, it's mostly the part that I took away from it that I liked the most was detaching yourself from things that happen. Rather than wrapping yourself up in things that happen, and that's kind of it
goes back to what we were talking about.
It does
before.
go back to what we were talking about,
mindfulness.
And that's one of the reasons that I explored the book is because I had heard that was one of the major topics is detaching yourself from the events around you, and that's what we do in 3-Gun. Is like there's loud noises going off in front of our head, but we discard those because we have a plan that we have to adhere to. So,
okay,
I got a lot of value from the book, and I thought my mom would as well.
What purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last year or 18 months or so?
I do know all
I
these.
do. I hear them all the time.
Purchase of $100 or less.
Or thereabouts. Inexpensive.
I would say the Calm app for sure.
Calm?
Calm.
Oh, Calm.
CALM. Calm app.
Yeah.
Which is the meditation app that we mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That I think I got for like $30. Plus I got a free gift.
You gifted it to me.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
So that was thumbs up on that. I would mention some sort of piece of podcasting equipment, but everything that we're looking at here that we're using is over $100.
What about that little...
Oh, yeah, the adapter was $6. That adapter was pretty nice.
That was pretty good. That's helped a lot. $6 is good. Oh, yes. How old are you now, Dave, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, we got to keep this 3-Gun, right? 36, but we got to keep this 3-Gun. So. Or I guess we don't have to keep 3-Gun.
Doesn't have to be. So 36. If you could give advice to your, let's say, 25-year-old self.
25, huh?
Yeah, I like that to get you a little bit out of college.
Yeah.
And places where you were. What were you doing at 25? If you could give yourself advice, what would it be?
So 25, I think by the time I turned 25.
It's around when we met, probably.
No, we met when I was like 20.
Were you that young?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember you bought beer.
Oh, wow. No. Which is totally legal here.
Right.
by the way.
Statute of limitations. Yeah, remember we had like some me with a bunch of drag racing buddies, and we were working on your car, and you're like, "Hey, thanks guys, here's some beer."
You weren't old enough to drink?
Yes, I was.
21 in a day.
21 and 1 day.
All right.
Okay, so 25, out of college. I can't even remember where I was working at that time. I think I was probably working at the
Peterson at that point?
yeah, probably Peterson Fluid Systems, where I was welding on tanks, which I really liked doing. I still had like the idea at that time that I wanted to pursue something entrepreneurial. So there's two things I want to tell myself. Can I pick two or just
Yeah,
one?
absolutely.
So one would
It's
be,
just advice that you would give yourself.
oh, okay. So do the douchey thing, follow your dreams, but 25-year-old Dave wouldn't have understood that.
All right.
So I would say pursue this entrepreneurial thing. Keep pursuing it. I would tell myself, because right after that I took like a break on even thinking about that stuff for like almost 10 years.
Right.
8 or 9 years, something like that.
Because you kind of had that fresh out of college gumption that you wanted to do something, and then you kind of lost sight of it.
Well, and then it was like I tried a few things, but I didn't put like my whole heart into it.
Right.
And, just like I didn't really know how, and I didn't really do quite the research that I needed to do so. And then the other thing would be meditate.
Very good.
Yeah. I mean, when I think, we keep coming back to that, but it's definitely been very helpful for me. So when I think about like the help I've gotten in doing it somewhat consistently for I think a year now.
Right about a year.
Right about a year. When I think about all the help that I've gotten somewhat consistently for a year, I mean, imagine if it was for 10 years that I'd been doing it consistently.
Well, that's it for us. Thanks for joining us on the Three Gun Show. I've been your host, Wade Jones.
Yeah, we appreciate you sending in questions in the survey, and for those of you that filled out the survey, totally appreciate it. It's going to help me guide the show for the next foreseeable future, and there'll likely be more. So if you see another one, don't hesitate to fill it out, because they definitely do help.
Yeah, and get all of your questions answered. Hopefully we'll figure out how to upvote or list them. Well, that'll be all figured out. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah, and if you have any more questions, just go to the episode number that I say after this when I do the outro. Listen all the way through, and we'll do a little community thing where we comment on the blog post there, and maybe we'll answer some more of your questions in the future.
And say hi to us at SHOT Show this year.
Yeah,
We'll be out there.
If you're at SHOT Show, come say hi. We'll be the dudes in the shirts that say Three Gun Show.
Yeah, multiple colors probably.
Yep.
Put Dave on the spot. Need new shirts. Thanks. It's been a lot of fun, Dave.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Wade. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. This one was a lot of fun to do because it was answering your questions, things that you guys want to know from me, and you filled out in the survey. And yeah, I appreciate you guys doing that. This was a lot of fun. So 3gunshow.com/episode 105 is where you can find the show notes for everything that we talked about. And be sure to check out 3gunshow.com/support when you shop at Brownells, Optics Planet, Cabela's, and Amazon to support the show. And until next time, I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.